Hello Cancer, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for June. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. Going to give you the key strands to look out for, but then please stay with me. I will give you in much greater detail all the key influences and positions and dates that will impact on your sign. Now, as you come into this month, of course, the Sun is still feeling the force of the new moon in the sign of Gemini, which occurred at the end of last month. But for you, this is house 12, which is very much to do with reflection and can be a more psychological or bring a more psychological dimension to bear. But in the sign of Aries, you have Mars, its ruler, and also Jupiter, the planet of hope, growth, and luck, combined for the first 4 days, but they're both in the sign for the whole month, in the part of your horoscope that's to do with elevating your profile, with really being ambitious and self-confident in what you should do. So there's a bit of a dichotomy going on there, but it doesn't mean to say that there aren't opportunities. And also, of course, Mercury is retrograde as we go into this new month, but it does go direct on the 3rd, comes out of shadow on the 4th, and so it's given you a wonderful platform to communicate skillfully to others, especially with Venus also in Taurus, your sector of friendship, along with the North Node and Uranus. So as you come into this month, there may be part of you that's a little bit reticent, but there's a lot of opportunities to go for. If you're wanting to think about your place in life, anything to do with your work or ambitions or positions of authority, you really have quite a rare chance to stake a claim, to really let people know just how talented and resourceful you are. But I'd love you to stay with me, because then I can tell you about the glorious summer solstice, which sees the Sun return to your sign on the 21st. I can tell you about the Cancer new moon on the 29th, which is a very optimistic new moon. It links with Jupiter. I can also tell you about Saturn's retrograde from the 4th, Neptune's retrograde from the 28th. Of course, Pluto is already in retrograde, and I can tell you about the full moon, which occurs on the 14th. So much more to share with you. But if you would like to ascend above Zodiac Astrology, if you give me 3 pieces of personal information, your time, your date, and your place of birth, I can give you a roadmap that you can use to guide you for the rest of your life. But also within my special package, you can get a 12-month forecast, totally unique to you. No 2 reports are the same. Please see the link below. And also, finally, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. I'm nearly at that 100,000 mark. All the illnesses I've had over the years have really been quite an inhibition to get into this point. So your support is very much appreciated. So Cancer, your monthly forecast for June is really exciting, particularly because we have the second cardinal quadrant begin on the 21st and the Sun's return to your sign. You might notice each year with the summer solstice that you do find that your vitality does start to pick up, and that the month before, it does depend on your natal horoscope exactly for this, but you could find that the month before can be a time that you're just thinking about things a little bit more, perhaps needing a rather more time to yourself, just to rest and reflect, and that would be a perfectly natural part of the process. But this year, in concurrence to the Sun being in your 12th house and the potency of that new moon that occurred at the end of last month, you have the Mercury retrograde, but also Venus, along with Uranus and the North Node, all in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus for you is very much about friendship. It's about how you connect to others, your networks. It's about also your highest ideals, and it can be about your future plans. So Mercury being retrograde in this area suggests that you may have gone through something in recent weeks, perhaps the last month, a feeling that things were slowing down. Maybe there was a bit of confusion. Maybe you discovered that some of the people in your friendship circle were not as reliable or even as faithful friends as you would like. Now, once Mercury comes out of the retrograde on the 3rd, out of shadow at the 4th, you have a window of opportunity then for about 10 days when you can really start to network very skillfully. Because with Venus in this area as well, Venus is the planet of charm, but it's in a beautiful semi-sextile to Mars for the first 12 days of this month. The semi-sextile is a supportive influence, it's just that much more subtle. But Mars, of course, along with Jupiter, is in your sector of success, and Mars is at home in the sign of Aries, so it's in its dignity. And Jupiter in the sign of Aries, it's very much about punching forwards with conviction, self-confidence and belief, and also sensing that you can experience some strokes of fortune. And I think Mars combining with Jupiter can bring to the fore that part of your nature which is very much the leader. I really don't like this archetype for Cancers, that you have to be chained to the kitchen sink. Yes, the environment you work in, the atmosphere is always critically important, and somewhere that's peaceful and calm can be part of that. We all accept that there can be part of our schedule that can't be like that because, you know, we have to go out and about, we have to link with people. But I feel that the combination of Jupiter and Mars can help you to demonstrate your leadership abilities, and then that's going to be augmented by the Sun returning to your sign on the back of the summer solstice of the 21st. So it's all to go for. So this subtle link between Venus in your sector of friendship with Mars in your sector of success, and is going to give you much greater self-confidence, suggests that if there has been any disappointments about that friendship circle or future hopes, or you have felt that you've been treading water a little bit, do believe that things can move forwards. Now, of course, Saturn does go retrograde on the 4th, and it's going to be retrograde through to the 23rd of October. What does this mean for you? Well, the retrograde is in your sector of shared resources. So anything to do with business, investments, property could go through a period of not necessarily stagnation, but slower growth. You might have to work very thoroughly on those areas. If you're someone who's more entrepreneurial, it could feel frustrating if things don't go quite as quickly as you would like. But Saturn can reward. It's not all about punishment. And there is this sort of view amongst some YouTube astrologers, I feel, that Saturn, can only be reflected in its more restrictive behaviour and influence, but it can reward. So if you work very hard at those business and financial and shared assets over the next 5 months, your rewards will come. Now, the 13th sees Mercury move into the sign of Gemini. Now, this is a bit paradoxical because the Sun, of course, is about to move into your sign on the 21st, which brings you into the present. Whereas Mercury suggests that you may have to do some more research, something that you looked at from perhaps the early part of May may need revisiting. Just take it in your stride. Your more analytical nature could be of great help to you, and Mercury can actually enable it. But remember, Mercury is at home in Gemini. So though for you the 12th house is a bit awkward, for example, Mercury moving through Pisces is in detriment. So we get that kind of feeling that thinking isn't quite as crystal clear as we would like, but it's still in Gemini. So your sensitivity and your ability to draw energy in through your senses linked to your intellect could be very useful with Mercury moving back into Gemini. The 14th, of course, does see the full moon. So this full moon goes across the 12th and 6th house axes, with Neptune angling in a T-square in the 9th. That, to me, points towards the potential for amplification. So whatever you're feeling, you're going to feel it more. So the 6th house can be very much about the physical reality, the 12th the more psychological and less tangible world. So just be aware that your imagination can drive your reality quite a lot in the second 2 weeks of this month. But I think the summer solstice is something to really trumpet for you, because yes, the beginning of the second cardinal quadrant, it's your sign coming into its own. And I also feel that although Venus moves on the 23rd into your 12th house, I think if you're in a relationship where you feel that you're being inhibited quite a bit by someone's desire to have your attention, it's more difficult for you to just solely focus on what you want to do. That could be a little bit distracting. Maybe there is a sensitive relationship issue that we'll need looking at. Maybe the new start that comes with the summer solstice is around a relationship. Perhaps one is naturally going to make way. The Neptune retrograde, which begins on the 28th, is in your 9th house. Anything to do with higher education, travel, higher principles, philosophies, all those areas come into sharper focus. Maybe you do need to think more carefully about these. If you would like to travel more widely in the second half of this year, and who wouldn't want to if that's something that you're able to do, then Neptune's just saying, just be clear about your objectives and the details. The new moon, however, in your sign on the 29th is fantastic because it forges a semi-sextile to Venus. Maybe is the subtlety that Venus and Mercury are asking you to grapple with, and also the Gemini new moon as we start this month. Maybe what all of that is about is just not making way on what makes you you. You're a water sign, you're governed by the moon. So this new moon is the most important new moon of the year for you, because your moon is back in its home zone. So it's in dignity, it's a triumph. And the optimism that I mentioned before comes not just because of the semi-sextile to Venus, which is very useful, but also because of the square to Jupiter. But it means that Venus and Jupiter themselves, the two planets of luck, are linking very productively as this month draws to a close. So your single-minded pursuit of your goals, which are being supported enormously by Venus and Jupiter all through this month, can be supported as long as you're also having a degree of realism to counter your innate optimism. Now, you could be someone who's generally pretty cautious in your approach. Often Cancer people are, but I think Jupiter just pushes you to go for it a little bit, and Venus is just saying listen to your instincts around the relationship. But there is a bit of luck in the works as this month comes to a close and you make your way into July. Now, Mars is in a square with the retreating Pluto for the last 3 days of this month. Could be a bit of a power battle. You're not unknown to have them, because control can often be quite a big issue with cardinal signs. And because of your sensitivity, you don't actually always like outright conflict. So sometimes the power battles come from just the atmospheric changes that go on, or where you may just protect yourself and retreat from a situation but not actually say anything. So that can happen just as much as an outright row. But Pluto's in your sector of relating, Mars in your sector of power and dominance. So clearly, you know, if there is a situation where you're wanting everything to be on your terms, you could meet a challenge. But sometimes in life it is important to be incredibly single-minded if we want to get what we want, and that may be your view as this month comes to a close.